Yom Shavuot, usually referred to as the Day of Pentecost, is the 50th day after the wave sheaf offering during the Moed of Unleavened Bread. So important is this date as it commemorates, number one, the giving and receiving of the Torah on Mount Sinai, number two, the birth of our Savior Yahshua HaMashiach, and number three, the date on which Ruach HaKodesh was poured out upon the believers according to the book of Acts chapter 2. Please bear in mind that there are 7 annual Shabbats, each of which are set dates every year. And yes, there is the weekly Shabbat that is observed on the 7th day of every week since creation. All of these can be found listed in the book of Leviticus chapter 23, and Ezekiel chapter 20 declares the Shabbats to be a sign between Yahweh and his people forever. Therefore, no one has the right to judge in matters of what we should eat or drink, or concerning the Moedim or new moon or Shabbats. The only ones to whom this authority is given are the ones whom Yahweh Elohim has given this authority. This is the body of our Savior, Yahshua HaMashiach. So what are the Moedim of Yahweh Elohim? The Moedim of Yahweh Elohim are set appointments, celebrations, memorials, and rehearsals established by him for the salvation of man. Now, these were poorly rendered as feast days. I say this because feast days literally means joyous holidays to eat and drink and be merry. To grasp the misconception of this interpretation, one simply has to take a look at Leviticus chapter 23, verse 26 to 32, which clearly states that Yom Kippur, referred to as the Day of Atonement, is a time of fasting or affliction of the soul. This is clearly not a joyous holiday or a joyous occasion. This is one of the instances when ignorance and error have outdone lies and deceptions. With Yom Shavuot being one of the Moedim of Yahweh Elohim, it is therefore necessary for his people to know when to acknowledge and to celebrate it. Now pay keen attention. Leviticus chapter 23 verse 15 to 16 states, "And you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Shabbats shall be completed. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Shabbat, you shall number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh." Here are 3 of the most common misconceptions and deceptions surrounding the correct date to celebrate Yom Shavuot, which is referred to as the Day of Pentecost. Point number 1, the waving of the sheaf must be done on the day after the weekly Shabbat. This means the waving of the sheaf is always on a Sunday. Point number 2, the Sunday when the sheaf is waved should be counted as day 1 in the 50 days countdown to Pentecost. And point number 3, Pentecost will always be on a Sunday. Please note that these annual Moedim are fixed dates, not fixed days. This therefore means these dates are not fixed to any particular day. One of the main causes of the confusion as to which Shabbat is referred to in Leviticus 23, 15 to 16 is the mistranslation of the Hebrew word Sheboah, which means week. In verse 15 of Leviticus 23, where most Bibles states 7 Shabbat shall be complete, it should have stated 7 Sheboath, which means 7 weeks. Similarly, in verse 16 where it states, "Even unto the morrow after the 7th Shabbat shall you number 50 days," it should have read, "Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sheboah shall you number 50 days." Please note that Sheboah refers to any period of 7 consecutive days. There are clouds of witnesses that make it clear that the waving of the sheaf offering must be done on the day after the annual Shabbat, instead of the day after the weekly Shabbat. The following 2 points about Yom Shavuot are universally accepted. Point number 1, the waving of the sheaf offering cannot rightly take place on a Shabbat, whether weekly Shabbat or annual Shabbat. Point number 2, Pesach or Passover, the waving of the sheaf offering, and the 1st and 7th days of unleavened bread must be completed between the 14th and the 21st of the first month, which is named Aviv. Please remember that the Passover is fixed on Aviv 14 and can therefore fall on any day of the week. According to Leviticus 23, the day that follows the Passover is the first day of unleavened bread, which is an annual Shabbat. This is the 15th of Aviv. This is why the waving of the sheaf offering usually takes place on Aviv 16th, the day after the annual Shabbat. The sheaf offering is only waved on a Sunday if the 16th of Aviv falls on a Saturday, in which case it would have to be waved on Sunday, Aviv 17. So conclusive is this point that even the most die-hard Sunday Pentecostals are forced to accept that the day after the Shabbat in Leviticus 23, verse 15 to 16, is the annual Shabbat and not the weekly Shabbat. The first time that the sheaf offering was waved was when Yahshua celebrated it at Gilgal. See Joshua 5, verse 10 to 12, as it makes the following clear. On the 14th day of Aviv, they celebrated Passover. On the 15th day of Aviv, they ate parched corn or old corn and unleavened bread. On the 16th day of Aviv, the manna ceased, and they ate from the new produce. Of course, the manna ceased on the 16th because they were now reaping and eating. It should be noted that the manna began falling on the 16th of Ziph 40 years earlier, which is recorded in Exodus chapter 16. Since they could not have eaten the new produce before it was waved, and they could not have waved it on the Shabbat of Aviv 15, then clearly it had to be waved on the 16th. Careful analysis of Joshua 5 will reveal that the waving took place on Aviv 16, which was not a Sunday. Since the manna ceased on the 16th of Aviv, this means that it fell on the Shabbat of Aviv 15. This proves that Aviv 15 was not a weekly Shabbat. Additionally, they ate parched corn on the 15th of Aviv, which means that fire was lit. This could not have been done on the weekly Shabbat. Since Aviv 15th was not a weekly Shabbat or Saturday, then the following day, Aviv 16th, could not have been a Sunday. The preceding information is absolutely clear that the waving of the sheaf offering was not on the day after the weekly Shabbat, but after the annual Shabbat. And the question now is, can Yom Shavuot fall on a Sunday? Yahweh Elohim in his wisdom made it impossible for Yom Shavuot to fall on a Sunday. In other words, Yom Shavuot cannot fall on a Sunday. Why is it that Yom Shavuot cannot fall on a Sunday? The reason is that Yom Shavuot is calculated in the same manner as the year of Jubilee. For example, Israel became a nation in 1948 and celebrated their Jubilee in 1998, 50 years later. Here is how it is counted. 1948 to 1949 is the first year. 1949 to 1950 is the second year. 1950 to 1951, the third year. 1951 to 1952, the fourth year. 1952 to 1953, the fifth year. 1953 to 1954 is the sixth year. 1954 to 1955 is the seventh year, and so on. Using the same method of reckoning, let us use an example that the waving of the sheaf offering took place on a Sunday. Then, from Sunday to Monday would be the first day. Monday to Tuesday would be the second day. Tuesday to Wednesday would be the third day. Wednesday to Thursday would be the fourth day. Thursday to Friday would be the fifth day. Friday to Saturday would be the sixth day. And Saturday to Sunday would be the seventh day, and so on. Counting this way for 7 Sundays would be 49 days. This would be one short of the 50th day. The 50th day would be one day after Sunday, which would be the Monday. Since the sheaf offering can never be waved on the weekly Shabbat, Shavuot can never therefore fall on a Sunday. This means if the wave sheaf offering had been done on Sunday, then Yom Shavuot would have fallen on the Monday, 50 days later. If the wave sheaf offering had been done on a Monday, then Yom Shavuot would have fallen on the Tuesday 50 days later. If the wave sheaf offering had been done on a Tuesday, then Yom Shavuot would have fallen on the Wednesday 50 days later. If the wave sheaf offering had been done on a Wednesday, then Yom Shavuot would have fallen on the Thursday 50 days later. If the wave sheaf offering had been done on a Thursday, then Yom Shavuot would have fallen on the Friday 50 days later. If the wave sheaf offering had been done on a Friday, then Yom Shavuot would have fallen on the Saturday 50 days later. The sheaf cannot be waved on the weekly Shabbat, so Yom Shavuot cannot fall on a Sunday. This is why Yom Shavuot is celebrated on the 6th or 7th of the month Sivan. Yom Shavuot is determined by when the sheaf is waved, which is either the 16th of Aviv or the 17th of Aviv. The sheaf is only waved on Aviv 17th if the 16th of Aviv falls on a weekly Shabbat. It would then be waved on the 17th of Aviv. So these are some points that you must remember. Remember that the Pesach or Passover is fixed on the 14th day of Aviv and can therefore fall on any day of the week. Remember also that Passover and the days of unleavened bread are from Aviv 14 through to the 21st of Aviv. Remember, the waving of the sheaf cannot rightly be done on the weekly Shabbat or the annual Shabbats. Remember, the waving of the sheaf offering must be done on the day after the annual Shabbat instead of the day after the weekly Shabbat. Remember, Passover, the waving of the sheaf offering, and the 1st and 7th days of unleavened bread must be completed between the 14th and the 21st of Aviv. Remember, Yom Shavuot does not fall on the same day of the week on which the sheaf offering was waved. And finally, Yom Shavuot, which is referred to as the day of Pentecost, can never fall on a Sunday. Shalom Aleichem.
Here is the truth about Pentecost. Sunday was it never ordained. On the Shabbath, no sheep you wave. Uncovered are these eyes. On the 7th day, the Torah he gave, the same day Yahshua was born, the same day Yahshua he rose. Now, confirmed by cloven tongues of fire. Pentecost can never